You're listening to the Clutter Fairy Weekly, a weekly webcast and podcast brought to you by the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas. If you'd like to participate in one of our live webcasts, please visit cfhou.com/weekly. You'll find a calendar of upcoming webcasts, as well as instructions for joining the Zoom meeting via the app or by phone. We'd love to see you. That URL again is cfhou.com/weekly. Now here's the weekly episode. Enjoy.
Hi, Clutter Fairy fans. This is the Clutter Fairy Weekly for October 28th, 2025. I'm your co-host, Ed Gumnick, and I'm speaking with Gayle Goddard, certified professional organizer and owner of the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas.
Hi, everybody. The Clutter Fairy Weekly is the webcast and podcast that digs deep into the clutter that piles up between you and the life that you want to be living. We explore the habits and behaviors that lead to clutter, and we suggest strategies to slow the accumulation, reduce the collection, and comfortably manage the stuff we decide to keep.
If you're new to our Zoom meeting, we want to let you know that you can share your questions and comments via the chat, and I'll try to make sure Gayle addresses them before we move on to another topic. You can also use the raise hand feature if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment yourself via audio or video. And we're streaming the webcast live on Facebook, so you can share your questions and comments there, and I'll relay them to Gayle. We're going to start by talking about last week's weekly tittle, which was called Values in the Decluttering Process. The assignment was to use values as a tool to revisit your decision to keep something that you'd previously contemplated discarding. Let's hear from our participants in Zoom and on Facebook. Who got rid of something that they'd been clinging to this week? Please let us know in the comments. YouTube viewer A222Z shared a comment on the topic of value, which was the focus of last week's show. A222Z writes, "The baby boomers are dying and their stuff is overwhelming donation centers so that many items are no longer being accepted and dumpsters behind their buildings are overflowing with donated stuff. No one wants it. Everything from clothes to cabinets to other furniture, etc., has definitely lost its value."
There is, something about price adjusting that comes with volume, right? And she is right. I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers. I'm at the last, I'm sort of in that generation that's like we're sliding on to the next one. And so, we're at the tail end of all of those baby boomers disposing of their stuff or their kids disposing of their stuff. And it is a lot, and there's a huge volume going in to be donated. And so trying to do it responsibly, it takes effort, and that flood of all of that stuff affects its value just because if you want a specific book, there was a million of them sold in that moment and you can find a million copies of it, so it's not really worth anything. The fact that you spent $30 on a hardback book back in 1980 does not mean anything. So
Right.
it is true, and it's a problem, and there's still, it's still worth it to donate it because it still puts it out there and hopefully makes it available for other people. But right now, there's a lot, and it's hard to manage. And anybody that does that work, anybody that is in charge of a donation receiving center, struggles with managing the tidal wave that is coming their way. That's why I'm not in that business instead of the one that I am in instead. Thank you. What she wrote was a perfect description, and I think it's absolutely what's happening. Hopefully, at some point, the volume will slow down, but there's millions of people on the planet, and we all own stuff, so there's always going to be a pipeline of extra.
Well, and it's a very large generation that's dying off, followed by several somewhat smaller cohorts.
By comparison,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Cat Astrophy says, "Yeah, that's what gets me. I'll end up keeping all the things if I apply values. I have to ignore them to part with things."
I think that that's a good statement.
Well, or as we were suggesting last week, dig deeper into your values. How, what is the value to you of the clear space? What is the value to you of the things that you would do if you got rid of some of the stuff that
Hmm.
you need to part with.
Yeah, I mean, you can think of it as sort of trading up value, right? Like there's a value to the objects that you're trying to release, but you're trading that value for the value to you of a clear space or something that is more manageable, more negotiable. I mean, in navigating around the house, easier to clean, all that kind of stuff. The burden of managing the stuff, and I think that one is sort of a monetary value and one is a peace of mind value, but they can have, in my mind, an equal exchange. You're trading one for the other, and worth it. It's totally worth it, right?
Well, Kat goes on to say, I even agreed to take unknown items after my grandma's death out of sentiment, not knowing what I'll receive.
Oh,
Ooh, that's dangerous.
that's going to be a surprise for you, isn't it?
Right.
And the sad thing is that now you're the one that has to make the executive decisions about what stays and what's going, and so hopefully you can receive all the stuff from that they send you, because now you've like opened a door and they'll be like, oh good, we can just send it to her. So you're going to get a lot, I'm guessing, way more than you thought. And then you're going to be the one that has to do the work of filtering and actually donating. And so it's turning out well. Okay, yes, there would be a yeah, yeah. So I think generally you're just presented with a large volume that you have to decide what's going to come, what's going to stay, and what's going to go. And Disney VHS tapes, I see that. Yeah, yeah, somebody thinks they're super valuable. Okay. And of course you're going to find things if you ever have to clear out an estate. If you're the person that's coming behind someone that's just died or downsizing, and you have to take all that stuff away, and they've been saving things because of the perceived value to them, and then you realize, oh, there is actually no value to what they're holding on to. That's just a fallacy of their belief system that they think it's worth a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes then you just have to take it away and go, yeah, yeah, I'll take this
I'll,
to half price books, and then
yes, I'll
not,
deal with this appropriately.
right? And then it just,
Brenda reports, got rid of Harry Potter audiobooks,
oh, all right. I'm sure somebody will be happy to get those on the back end.
right?
That's a
Um,
good one.
the Mags reports, I recently gave away a lot of animal supplies, 4 boxes,
Mm,
to a local wild animal rescue. They were very happy to have them, and I was glad to get them out of my house. Some of the items
right.
were new and worth money, but getting them gone was more important than the money I could have gotten.
And the money, you were providing that dollar value to the wildlife services is going to then go do work with them and use them to be helpful. And some of those things are probably durable and they'll get used several times. And so, you just donated that monetary value to a service that was going to use them. And I appreciate that if you had sold them, you probably couldn't have sold it all to one person. So you would have had to make several sales to donate it all, to get rid of it all. But instead, you bulk processed it and gave it all to one place, which means you made one errand. You ran one errand and dumped it, all of it, and it was someplace that was going to use all of it. And so, great job lining that up and making the shortest, fastest path for yourself and having it go to somebody that was going to use it. Good job.
Um, Jacqueline says, related to the topic from a few weeks ago, I've been working on some tiny habits to keep my bedroom neat.
Mm,
Every morning I make the bed. When I get dressed, I hang my pajamas on a hook on the back of the bathroom door, preventing a floor drobe.
there you go.
Before I leave the bedroom in the morning, I look around for anything that needs to leave the room, usually a drinking glass or a piece of recycling to bring to the kitchen. These take almost no time, but really do help maintain the space.
Right? You're just giving it 2 minutes of attention and keeping a space clear so that when you come back to go to bed, it's not assaulting. That's good. You're doing so good. Those are great tiny habits that are making a difference. Good job.
In case I haven't already made it abundantly clear, I am a huge fan of tiny habits,
Hmm.
and I'm always looking for new ones to develop. And you know, we've had Hardy now we're coming up on 8 years, and it
Hardy the
took
dog.
it took me, yes, Hardy the dog, and it took me until, I don't know, 2 months ago to realize that the logical time to rinse and refill his water bowl is while he's eating his breakfast. Because
Right?
there's a follow-up to eating his breakfast. He gets his face washed every morning because he gets some wet food
Because
as
he's
part
such
of
a
his
mess.
breakfast, and he's a shaggy boy. And so while he's eating his breakfast, I go pick up his bowl, rinse it out, change it if it needs changing, refill it with fresh water. And I never have to wonder again, is he out of water? Because he's never out of water. If I do that every day while I'm feeding him breakfast, which is something that I'm already programmed to do,
Mm-hmm.
it takes 20 or 30 seconds to do it, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And
And I'm sure he appreciates that the water stays fresh that way.
it's
Like,
right, it's always fresh,
mm-hmm.
and I don't have to deal with the attitude he serves if it's not, you know.
Right?
And I never have to wonder,
Mm-hmm.
oh, when he comes to bug me about something, I never have to wonder, is it his water? No, it's not his. It's never his water anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just, I know such a little tiny thing, but it's this extra peace of
Niggling
mind.
little,
Yeah.
drilling into your head that's bothering you, right? And you want to do right by your pet, and it's good pet care to do it. And now you've made it, mindless to do. And how perfect is that?
Okay, Connie
It's brilliant.
says we just donated the last bits of furniture to a student who needed it. It was a
There you
good feeling.
go. That was a good one, and I'm sure the student needed them, and now they're going to have a second life in somebody else's apartment. That's awesome.
Okay, we should probably go on because we've got
Tis
some
time.
material to cover and it's that time. Yeah. Okay. Decluttering and organizing is time consuming, emotionally challenging, and sometimes physically demanding work. If you find that you can't get it all done yourself, even with the help of family and friends, consider hiring service providers to assist with the toughest chores. Today, we're going to explore services you can contract to help lighten the burden of decluttering work.
A lot of what I can offer my clients is support ideas, ways to dispose of or rehome objects, suggestions of services to support decluttering and organizing work. And it happens a lot. Clients tell me they're having a problem, and I pull out a resource or a reference from my contacts list. Now, many of these are local to my area, so they won't apply outside the Houston area, but there are many ideas that will apply all over the country. And I thought it'd be a good idea to share some resource ideas with you, just like I do with my clients, and hopefully help your clutter project get going. So here we go. The first one is maid services, and it's an obvious one, but it's often overlooked. While maid service is not an inexpensive thing, when you've been decluttering for hours or days or weeks, having someone else come in to deep clean a newly uncovered area is an easy decision. Deep cleaning is hard physical work, and doing that cleaning part of the job just compounds the physical work of decluttering. Whether you ask your family to come clean or hire a friend's maid to come for a one time job or hire an outside service to send a team to your house, getting help with purely cleaning task work takes one large chore off of your to do list. And remember, don't expect them to do it exactly how you would do it because they won't. But if they can get it 80% there, then any detail work that you have to do later means that you're doing 20% of the work instead of 100% of the work. And it's still worth paying for that. And I know that everybody can clean their own house, and it seems like a waste of money for something that you can actually do. But if you're spending your time and energy doing decluttering and making all those decisions and figuring out new systems about where things are going to go, cleaning is an easy and obvious thing that you can give to someone else, pay to have them do it, and then you don't have to do that part of the job. And I have to say, totally worth it. The second one on my list is junk haulers, and this is also a familiar option. There's lots of national companies that will come and haul off your stuff that you want to have removed quickly. And they provide the muscle to move it all out of the house and it disappears instead of sitting on your yard waiting for heavy trash day. Houston has been behind with heavy trash, and so people keep putting heavy trash out on their scheduled day. And then 3 weeks or 4 weeks go by before the truck actually shows up. So they've had so much disposal from floods and from hurricane stuff action in the past that those schedules have gotten all wonky because there's so much debris removal when there's a huge weather event. And so right now, the heavy trash is out by the curb and it should have been picked up 3 weeks ago and it hadn't been picked up. So yeah, you can wait for your local heavy trash forever and make yourself irritated every time you come home and look at the end of your driveway, or you can use a junk hauler service. Um, they usually do some basic sweeping up after removal too. So like if you use 1-800 got junk, they're going to load their truck up and then they're going to come behind and sweep up if they've left a bunch of debris somewhere. So you can get that little bit of help too. They take things that heavy trash might not take. So everybody has their heavy trash service that comes with their municipal location, and there's always rules about what they will and won't take. And so there's often things that a junk hauler will take that your local trash pickup services will not. My mother lived in Jamestown, North Carolina, which is basically a suburb of Greensboro, and they had junk removal by appointment. So when you wanted heavy trash picked up, you called to book an appointment, and they came very quickly. Now, that service is not available in Houston, but if you live in a small town, that might be the no-cost solution for you. You might have on-demand pickup services
Yeah, that's how it worked for us before our move when we were in Red Bank, a
when
suburb
you're in
of
Red Bank, right?
Chattanooga. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so, smaller towns provide that service more directly.
I feel fairly certain Chattanooga doesn't do that, but now we're in an apartment, so
Yeah, so it's not the
we have a
same,
dumpster out the back if we need it.
right? So, paid services available nationally include 1-800 got junk, Junk King, which is actually a franchise. And so it's local operators, but you can look up junkking.com and then search for somebody in your area. And also College Hunks Hauling Junk. All three of these have locations all over the US and are likely available in your area if you live in a larger city. If you Google junk hauling services in my area, you'll get many locally owned junk hauling companies too. So these are a great option if you're not living in a service area for the larger companies. Remember, just check some of their online reviews. And if you know a real estate agent, you might ask them who they recommend. Realtors have a lot of big house clearing contacts like I do. They always have to be clearing out houses or helping their clients out. And so they have all kinds of repairman, cleaning services, hauling services in their phones. So you can ask your social circle who they use, or you can post that question on your local nextdoor.com app. Check your friend who's a realtor and see if they have something. But you can ask those people the people that are nearby you, who are in your social environment, who they're using for junk hauling, and get a recommendation that way.
Well, and our movers offer junk hauling as one of their services, and
Mm.
they do it at a lower hourly rate than for moving because
And
obviously it doesn't matter what condition it's in when it gets to the dump.
when it gets hauled,
So,
right?
they're not worrying about how it's stacked or
Yeah, any of that.
taking any care with it. And they were a lifesaver at the end of our move back in March.
Because they just hauled that stuff off.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
awesome. Okay, so the third service I want to talk about is waste disposal via thebagster.com, Bagster. So it's the bagster.com. This is a very helpful service when you need to clear out a garage or when you're moving out and you're likely to generate lots of heavier or awkward trash that needs disposal. This is a service that's provided by the company Waste Management. It's a trash pickup service nationally and in Canada. First, you buy a Bagster, the physical bag, at a local home improvement store or Target or Walmart. You can order it online also from all those locations, plus, Amazon, and there's a few others. So it's super easy to get a bag. If you go to their website, thebagster.com, you can see the options of where to order the bag, and the price is around 30 bucks. This bag is made of the material that looks like a tarp, that sort of thick plastic, not easily cut tarp material, and it folds out onto your driveway if you open it up and fold it all out. And it has big handles on two sides of the side of the bag so that the garbage truck that's going to come grab it can pull a claw up and grab those handles over the top of the bag and then lift it into the truck. You can fill it with almost anything up to 3,300 pounds. So that means you can put all kinds of, here's concrete, here's sand, here's lumber, here's wood debris, here's, the weird kind of, leftover tiles and construction materials that are, super irritating to handle and store, and nobody wants to deal with them. They can go straight into this thing. They won't take food waste like they're your regular household trash. No toxic chemicals, no electronics. There's a few things on the list that you're not allowed to put in the bag, but those are specified. You can get that list easily and see what won't work. Just check the list online. But they truly will take lots of stuff that your local trash pickup will not take. And then once the bag's full and the handles will still close over the top, that's important. Then you go back online to schedule a pickup. Request a pickup and pay. The first bag is $219, and then any additional bags are $179 each for the same pickup window. So you can have, like once I did it, I had 3 all lined up on a driveway together, and we filled all 3 of them, and they came and plucked them all at once. They were all gone in one trip, and so it was $219 for the first one, and then $179 for each of the other 2. Totally worth the haul off. We filled the bag. We were emptying a house, and there was a lot of stuff that was like, I can't donate this. This is trash. This is garbage. And out it went in the bag, so it was wonderful. There are placement instructions that you need to follow so the truck can reach and pick up the bagster. And that info's online, and they also include those instructions with the bag as a piece of paper that comes with the bag. So once you've ordered and paid online for the pickup, then the truck comes within 5 days to take the bags away. I did that at the end of my move. I had a bunch of stuff to throw away from the garage, and I had some broken things I found in the house that needed to be tossed as well. And so I managed to fill up a bagster at the time, and they came and picked it up within, I think, 3 days when I ordered it. It was pretty quick.
A little bit of feedback. Amanda says, if you can get a dumpster, I would recommend doing that over Bagster. Bagster's fees add up and the bag only holds so much. It has to be located by the street and away from overhead wires. I found it to be more trouble than it was worth. Research the pricing before deciding.
Yeah, you can do that, and dropping a dumpster and having it picked up later, that's an option. Absolutely. I think that the placement of the dumpster is similar to the placement of the bagster. You have to be careful. They have to be, accessible by trucks and equipment to be able to pick them up.
Right.
I haven't had any trouble using them on most driveways with clients. So, whatever floats your boat, they both work. I think that they're, really easy to load. I think one of the things that makes them brilliant is that they're not, if you're trying to load it up into somebody who's bringing their pickup truck or their, business vehicle to haul your stuff away, then it's off the ground. The truck is off the ground and you have to lift things up into the truck.
Right.
But with a bagster, it's on the ground. And so you don't have to lift anything nearly as high. I think that makes loading the bag much easier. It would be true for a dumpster that got dropped too. Those usually open at the end and you can walk in. And so it's better to use a service like that than to try to load up somebody's truck or van. Just in terms of, then you don't have to lift it an extra 3 feet off the ground to get it into a vehicle. So I think that part makes those other services better. And dropping them into a bagster is low and down, and it's easier to load because of that. So it's really a great large disposal solution for things that are otherwise not acceptable for local trash. And I will say it's also like you buy the bagster and you can put it out on the driveway, and because the pickup doesn't, like, if you drop a dumpster, you have to be ready to fill it right then. And then,
Right, or pay
they're
rent
charging
for
you
however
rent
long
by
you're
the
gonna
day
have
that
it,
it's sitting
right.
there, right? But the bagster, you pay the $30, it sits. You can fill it up however long it takes you to fill it up. And then you call the pickup. And so it gives you a little bit more time flexibility on that one. And it just depends on how much time and how many things you need to clear out. So if a dumpster works for you and you have a crew working on it and they can load it all up in a day or two, then that's great. Then you don't have to worry about the cost of rental getting too high. Okay, that's hauling. The next one is furniture movers, and they're not just for moving house to house. You can hire movers for moving things around inside your house too. I've hired movers to haul an exercise machine, like a big treadmill thing, from the third floor to the first floor of a client's home, to take an old appliance out of the house for donation pickup, and to shift very heavy pieces of furniture within the house. While a national chain like Beacons Moving or Allied Van Lines won't do those kind of jobs, any local independent mover will most likely provide some moving heavy stuff around services. Just Google for movers in your area. They'll have a minimum job cost, maybe the price of two men for a couple of hours, regardless of how quickly they can actually do it. Most often, clients have paid $175 or $250 between that range for a 2 hour minimum to get a few things moved around. It seems like money that could be saved if your family came to do it, sure. But then you have to wait for them to get around to coming to do it when you want. And you have to hope that they can be logical about how to do it safely without getting hurt. And part of the reason that you pay professionals to do it is so that they have experience moving all kinds of heavy things. They have equipment to make it easier, and they're much less likely to drop it in transit or lose control of it on the way and crash onto the wall or stairwell, causing damage. So if your uncle loses control and hits the wall with a piece of furniture, you're out of luck. If the movers drop it, they're insured. So better to hire the professionals than, your random college age kid who, sure, he's strong enough, but does he have any clue about the consequences of picking up a heavy piece of furniture and losing control of it while it's in the air? They're not, they have the muscle, they may not have the smarts. And so you do have to pay attention to that. And hopefully the movers at least are more likely to be able to solve the problem and have tried to solve the problem so many more times before that you don't surprise them anymore. When the guys came to deliver my refrigerator that I bought, they had strap belts around their middle that attached to a strap that went under the fridge, and the two of them picked it up between them on this strap like it was sitting on a bridge, and they just walked it in my house like poop poop poop, and they were in and out with the old one and in with the new one in 20 minutes, and it was like, wow, that is shocking. They missed my door. They took the door off its hinges to get it through. Like, they managed all of the movement of it with very rapidly, and clearly they do it all day long and they were prepared. So I think it's worth your peace of mind. Like, I had to turn away while they're trying to come through the door. I'm like, I can't watch them do that, it's too stressful. But they made it through. It didn't bump anything, it didn't tear anything, it didn't scratch anything. And they moved two refrigerators in and out of my house. And so it's worth it to let the professionals do it. That they're going to minimize the damage while it's being done, and I think that's worth the effort. Remember to make sure to clean out anything that you want to move within the house so that it's easier to move. You can just ask them to remove the drawers first. If it's like a cabinet or anything that has kind of drawers that's full of things, you can just have them pull the drawers out, and then they can move it around and move the drawers, and that's super easy. You don't really have to pack up anything. If something is going outside for donation, then of course you want to be sure to clear it out completely and do that before the movers show up. You don't want them standing there while you're madly taking things out of the piece of furniture you're trying to donate. Also, if you can clear out the path that they're going to take through the house with the furniture, that'll mitigate the risk of the damage from the movers, and it'll make it easier for them to do their job. So you want to look at, okay, they're going to have to pick this up in this back bedroom, and they're going to have to come down this hall and turn the corner and go out somewhere else. And so you want to make sure that that path is clear for them to walk, and it's not a trip hazard, and it's wide enough that the piece of furniture can go by without catching things and knocking things down. So that's just important to think about before you ask them. I think this is totally worth the money. If you're not 30, then you don't need to be trying to move a bunch of furniture by yourself or having your friends come over and do it. Like, yeah, you get like, let somebody that has the physical capacity come and take care of it for you, and it will be so much faster, and you'll be so happy.
Well, and even if you are 30, but you work a desk job, not
You're not fit
especially
enough,
physically active, and you can hire people who do this for a living and
right? And let them do it.
are good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, wives are always like, they immediately say, "Husband, come and move this." And I've seen them, clients do that on job sites a lot where, it's a huge bag and I need to carry it to my car, and the wife volunteers the husband to come and help. And then the husband shows up and I'm like, "Damn, you shouldn't have asked him to do that." Like, it's going to be too much for him too, but now he's like on the spot in front of me and he feels like he has to be macho. And so, yeah, I've made a lot of husbands suffer because the wives call them in to solve the problem. It's like, be realistic about what your husband can do. Don't make them do something that is going to break their back. Like, spend the $200 and then your husband doesn't have a back problem. Like, it's much better way to spend your money.
Amanda mentions another benefit of movers versus trying to get family to do it. She says you don't want the family members to talk you out of decluttering things,
Oh, fair point.
or
Absolutely
or to
right.
stand around and have a conversation about whether so and so's nephew who's going away to college could use
Could use
this, and
this.
who
Yeah.
do I need
Oh,
to call
yes.
about that, and
Yes,
the
yes,
movers
yes.
will just load it up and put it in the truck.
And it'll be, and a lot of times, like, there's donation services where the truck will come and take something away that you want to donate, but they are not allowed to come in your house to retrieve it because they don't want the drivers aren't prepared for that level of, insurance coverage, right? And so Salvation Army, for instance, you can you can ask them to come and pick up stuff for free, which they'll do, but they won't come in your house to get that treadmill from the third floor,
Right.
right? So you have to pay a mover to get it down to the garage or down on the front
Or the front
porch
porch, yeah, wherever you.
for then that service to come and take it away for free. So if you're trying to donate it to somebody, it's likely that the people that are driving the trucks are not insured to move it around in your house. And so you pay the movers to get it down and in position, and then you don't get hurt doing that. And then, your free service can come and take it away from the front porch or the driveway or the garage or whatever, and that's appropriate. So it's a way to get around the fact that, if you want Salvation Army or Purple Heart or somebody to come and pick something up big, they're happy to take it, but they can't come in and do it, move it around themselves. And so that's how you get around that. Okay, we moving on?
Yes, let's move on.
Okay, so the next one is online mail-in services for clothing donations. So this is a new type of service that's offered. Various companies online will provide a bag to fill up with clothes to be recycled or donated and mailed to them. So some examples are givebackbox.com. So you order their box or you can use one of your own and you print a free shipping label to mail it and ship the box to them. And it gets shipped via the post office or UPS or FedEx, anything like that. So you're not paying for the shipping. You fill the box with clothes according to their donation guidelines. And then you're mailing these clothes away to a service that is going to process, donate, recycle. That's a good one. Another one is a take back bag. So Google take back bag. It's provided under a service called Trashy. And I can't remember if it's trashy.com. I think it was trashy.com. But anyway, if you just Google take back bag, um, it's cost you $20 a bag, and they send you this bag, and then you put clothes into the bag and mail the donation away. Now they're not huge bags. Clearly, this is a donation service, but you can make some things go away and you don't have to take them anywhere. You fill the bag and here's goes out in the mail. You may have to take it to the post office, but it goes away. Another one that I just found is called smartwool.com second cut project. Cut CUT. So Google smartwool.com, like go to their website and type second cut project. And that way you can take old socks and donate them. And so they take those socks and upcycle them into new products. So Smartwool sells new socks, but they have this second cut project where they take old socks and then do something new with them. And so great service. And socks are weird. Like, it's weird to donate socks. And when socks are falling apart or, you've had them for a while and the elastic's dead, whatever, then, there's no point in trying to donate to somebody else. And Goodwill is just going to put them in recycling. But you can send these off, and this particular sock company is working on, they like take the fibers apart and they, do other stuff with them. They manufacture other products with them.
I'll
So
include links for
yeah,
Give
yeah,
Back
I saw
Box,
you doing
Take
some of
Back
that.
Bag, and the Second Cut Project in the show notes.
So you can go and link to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
I'm sure there's others. Those were just the ones that I found after a short search. And I had heard of the Give Back Box and the Take Back Bag
Yeah.
before. And the Smart Wool, I actually received a bag for donation from a client, I guess that they had, or somehow they had ended up with it. And so I found that one just because I actually ended up with a bag myself, just in time for me to mail some socks off. So they're just those kind of services are just a great way to get some stuff out of the house, clothing related. And you can do it as many times as you've got clothes to donate, some with cost and some without cost. But it's a way for you to not have to drive it to Goodwill or drive it to another donation center yourself. You can just mail them away. Okay, we're moving on to shredding services. There are so many shredding company services that will either provide drop-off days and hours at their physical location for free to the general public. So you can take boxes. There's usually some kind of, maximum. We'll take 5 boxes. We'll take, whatever they say. They have some parameters around how much they'll take from a residential person, but you can actually go to their physical location and drop off during their windows for free shredding. Or you can pay and have the shredding truck come to your house. So a lot of them will provide services at residential locations for a reasonable cost. So you pay and they bring the truck that they would take to businesses to shred business files. They bring that same truck to you in your driveway, and then the guy will come into the house and roll that paperwork out, dump it into they basically have those big 96-gallon dumpster trash bins that then the truck picks up and dumps into the truck. And so you can have those guys come and make your shredding disappear in a half an hour. And either option really gets a large volume of shredding done in 5 minutes while you watch through a view screen and watch the truck chew up your paper. So it really works very well and it's super quick. And frankly, why make shredding harder and more labor intensive? Sure, you can do it yourself at home with home-based shredders, but it takes forever to do that. And it's so much labor on your part to do it for free. It burns your time for hours, destroys your shredder when you have so many old boxes of old paper to shred. So either take the boxes to a company's location during their free hours or schedule an on-site visit for a fee. But it's totally worth it for your shredding to be gone in half an hour. And you can stand there and watch the truck eat it. And you know that it's dead and it's gone in, the shredder trucks can shred in 5 minutes what will take you 17 days in your house.
Yes.
So don't suffer, pay the money. Like, I know you physically can shred it all, but it's going to take you hours and it's going to be so boring. And the machine is going to get overheated a lot and you are going to be so irritated by the end. So spend the money. All right, I have two more to go. The next one is maxsold.com. Maxsold.com is a service that's not available everywhere. The company actually started in Canada, so it's easier to find it in the northeast of the United States, but it's spread to other parts of the US as well. This is a way to conduct an online estate auction. If you can get this service in your area, a local contracted crew will come to create the auction lots for sale and photograph them and upload them with descriptions into the Max Sold app. Or you can opt to do that lot creation work yourself, but it's very labor intensive. The commission splits are similar to any estate company, but the whole process can be completed in a couple of weeks with the estate cleared out to the walls. After the auction closes, the same contract support staff will host a pickup day for the winning bidders. They manage the pickup process, and those buyers come to the house to retrieve what they've paid for their winning auction lots. That's the beauty of the auction. The winning bidders walk all of the home contents out themselves, furniture and all. They're responsible for the removal. So you don't have to move anything yourself and it all walks away. At the end of the pickup day, you might have a little pile of things that didn't sell and no one took for free during the pickup process that you need to arrange to donate, but it's a fraction of what got moved by everybody else. It costs you to do it. You're paying a fee for all that service, but there's no guarantee that you'll get the best possible price for anything. But you skip most of the physical work yourself of an estate clear out. You empty the house quickly and you get some money for almost everything, including stuff that a donation outlet wouldn't take. For the areas that can use Max Sold, it's a fabulous option. And the service really is like they put things like they don't move it around very much. They just go in your house and separate lots and like they say, okay, this open cabinet shelf is one full lot. This pile of Christmas decorations is one lot. And so they're selling things in bulk bundles and they don't move it. So you don't have to move it either. So the whole idea of donating is you got to pull it all out and pack it and transport it. With an online auction like this, the stuff stays exactly where it is in the house. They just accumulate the lots together. They do a little bit of movement around work to put like things with like, but then they just, put paper tape, painting tape in between the lots to define where the lot ends. And so you haven't moved anything. And they take photographs of what's there in place. So it works really well. And then the person that buys it, they have to come and take everything of the lot. They don't get to pick part of it. So even if they donate some of it because they bought this particular shelf and they wanted 3 of the things on the shelf, they're going to keep the things that they want and they're going to donate the rest on the other end. And so it's going to get donated anyway if they don't keep it. So it's just the idea that all the army of buyers comes and walks all your stuff out of the house and you don't have to move it and you don't have to box it and you don't have to change the layout of the house at all. Like it takes so much work off of your shoulders. Totally worth it. And when I've done it, you have to sanitize the estate so that your personal data isn't there. You have to remove the keepsakes and things that your family wants. You have to take everything out that you want to keep.
That isn't going to sell.
That isn't going to
Right.
sell, and that you don't want your mother's bank statements hanging around in a desk drawer somewhere when you put a lot up. So you have to go through and make sure that all that stuff is pulled. And there's some work to doing that, but what's good about it is you don't have to move the stuff that's being donated. You're just extracting the things that you want, which is a much smaller population of things that needs to be boxed and moved. And then you pull out all you want and walk away. Then they lot up everything that's left in the house, which is awesome. They lot it where it stands and they walk people in and stand there while they pull the lot that they bought and they walk it out again and it's gone. So you don't have to do any of that. It's really quite fabulous. I've used
Well,
that a few times and it's been very successful.
and you said it costs money to do it, and there's no guarantee that you'll get the best possible price for anything. But of course, even if you do the work and put in the time and effort to try and sell things yourself, there's still no guarantee that you're
Right,
going to
right.
get that best possible price for anything.
There's a few things that might be worth your time that you would extract because you think, oh, this is worth a lot of money and I can try to sell that. Great. Pull it out of the auction. Go deal with it separately. But that is, a 0.5% of the contents of the house. And the other 99.5% of the house is then a project that you have to manage that you can let an estate auction manage instead. Super worth the effort. Okay, here's the last one. I'm going to mention local on-demand help. So there's online referral services that connect you with local people who can provide all kinds of services. This includes the options listed before this, like house cleaners and moving companies and junk removal handymen. I listed a few. Thumbtack.com is one. Online, you can search for service providers by type of service, like here's the button for house cleaners, here's the junk haulers, here's the handyman, etc. You capture those providers who pay to be there and they're there looking for clients. And it's sort of like the old Angie's List. So you're searching for providers by service type. Um, it's an easy way for you to say, oh, I need a cleaners. Let me go look and see who's local on thumbtack.com that wants to provide that service. TaskRabbit.com is similar service. It's searchable by service type. And this is where you can find someone who's willing to work for a couple of hours even. Lots of solopreneurs, skilled and unskilled labor, college kids on up to seasoned professionals. So the price range is going to be really varied depending on who you're hiring. If you ever thought, I just need a college kid to come and do this, this is the perfect place for you to go and look for that person and find somebody who's willing to come over for a few hours for, $30 an hour or $35. I'm throwing numbers out of the wall, but they have some hourly rate that they're willing to come and work, and you can come and ask them to work for a few hours on something that you are not feeling like you can manage. All kinds of support people there. You can also go on, this is another way that you can use nextdoor.com. If you go on nextdoor.com and generally just publish a post that says, hey, I need somebody to haul this, stuff out to the curb, or I need somebody to come that can clean out an area, or I need somebody that is willing to lift these boxes and put them in my garage or whatever. And you can find some people, you might get some recommendations from your neighbors of, here's somebody that's working locally in our zip code that is willing to do that kind of work. So Nextdoor lets you sort of leverage the people that are in your local physical situation and let them recommend somebody that might be available. And you can also go onto Facebook or Instagram, I would say, Twitter maybe, but you can go into your social media networks and say, hi, I need help in doing such and such. Does anybody know someone that they recommend? And so then you can ask, in essence, be asking your friends and acquaintances if they know somebody that would provide that service. And so it's a way for you to sort of tap into everybody else's Rolodex besides your own, which is, I think, worth the effort, because you're not the only person that's ever had to do stuff. And so if you can ask the people that physically live near you or your social network who they use, then you might get the benefit of a larger Rolodex that way.
I think your earlier suggestion too, back on in the junk hauler section you mentioned, um, I think that's where you mentioned if you talking to a real estate agent,
Mm.
if you have a real estate agent in your circles who is someone you trust, they can be a great source of recommendations for all kinds of services.
They get every house that they sell, the seller's like, oh God, I don't know who can help me do fill in the blank, right?
Right.
And they're always recommending you should get this fixed before we put it on for sale. Oh God, I don't know anybody that could do that. Do you? And so the real estate agents get asked to solve problems related to repairs and emptying of a house, cleaning of a house. And so they have deep Rolodexes. See, I'm dating
Yeah.
myself.
Rolodexes.
They
Hmm.
have long contact lists just like we do, and
Yes.
with lots of related services. So it's a good person. And they usually have people that they work with all the time, like they repeatedly work with. And so they have long experience with this person, and they can tell you all the things that the person can and can't do. And it's a great way to reach out. That's my list.
Okay.
So who has questions?
Let's see. What else we got? Naomi mentioned talking about shredding. Once again, unless you have old client medical files or something like that, you don't need to shred anything unless it has your credit card number or social security number on it. I'm kind of in that camp with Naomi. I if I find something that has really sensitive information on it, I'll just tear it into little bits, but there's so little that really fits that bill. No one is digging through the dumpster at my apartment complex looking for the Cigna explanations of benefits, you know?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And most of the service providers, credit card companies, people like that have now wised up so that they don't show full account numbers anymore on the
Right,
paperwork.
right,
Um, so the older the paper is, the more likely there's going to be sensitive data. The fresher paperwork is not going to have as much exposure.
right.
Maida has her hand up. Hi, Maida.
Okay, did I do it?
You
Yes,
did.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Thank you for that list again. And I've lived a lot of that too. My friend in the city just cleaned out her mother's apartment. Her mother's gonna live with her. So she and the brother were getting an estimate from one of the junk haulers. And they do recycle a lot of things. So that's one good thing. It's not just trash. They
Mm-hmm.
did separate their trash to send that out for free, but the other picked up. But when they came for the estimate, they were ready with the truck. So they had to like point and say, take it now. So just be prepared. That could happen if the estimator comes and he's got a crew or even a partial truck. They might even give you a discount to take right then.
Right? Because they want to fill the truck up. Cool. That would be awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Be prepared, right? So when you make those phone calls, you can probably before they come and do an estimate, you can ask a bunch of questions on inquire in advance so you don't get as startled when they show up ready to do something. Thanks, Maina. Miss Pat has her hand up.
Yeah, we had a friend of mine, her husband retired this past spring, and she put he had to get rid of everything in his office. And so we put a
Yeah.
few things out on Marketplace. And one person that came to get something, we put several things out for free after about a week. And they came to get just a couple of things and ended up taking everything for us.
Awesome.
They,
Gotta love that outcome, don't
yeah,
you?
if they could sell it, then it's more power to them.
Right. People that are doing that for a living, if they're making their money at reselling stuff, like, free to them is inventory. So, okay, if you want to, I don't want to live with your inventory. Here, take it and live with it. You do it.
Right.
I'm
And
perfectly
then,
happy for them to take it away.
yep. And then another thing, when my aunt passed away a few years ago, they had a large estate sale, which we bought several big pieces of furniture and had to make a move across Michigan
Ugh.
to take them. And my
Mm.
daughter and I rented a U-Haul, and we hired a couple people to to load the U-Haul for us. And then we drove it across state and parked it in my daughter's driveway. And the very next day, they had a furniture delivery. And so when the delivery came, we gave those guys some cash to unload it for us.
Awesome. That was clever.
Yeah.
Good job. They were there already anyway. It was tip
Yeah.
money they got on the side. Good for
Yep.
you. Very clever.
Amanda, did you put your hand back up?
I
Go
did.
ahead.
I
Oh,
had
okay.
two
Oh,
today.
Excellent.
okay, go ahead.
So the other one was about the shredder. I started working in a church, and our county system has a shredding service that will meet like at a park on a scheduled basis where you can drive up and they'll
Yes.
take the shredding right out of your car, and that's completely free. You can also watch it on the camera. But we did it as an event at the church. I do it every year. I get like 100 cars. And that way I can put my work shredding in there too, because they don't take commercial. But if we do that event, we can. So,
Awesome.
but you can
Nice.
do that for free. And if you look around I like the county municipal site, recycling, they might have something like that. And that is free. And like, it's not, when you need it, but if you just want to keep up with it every year, it's helpful.
Yeah, and I think people they wait for the once a year free event and then they miss it. So they live with the boxes for 8 months or 9 months and then they miss the event and it's like, oh my gosh, now what? So you can aim for the free event and if you can make it happen, great. And if you miss it, it's time to, haul it off to the shredding company. But sometimes that's more, if you're clearing out an estate, you don't have time to wait around. And so that stuff needs to go off immediately. But if you have the time to wait for the free event, sure. I would just say, in service to you having a clear space sooner, Google free shredding event and see what business, what company, what nonprofit is offering a shredding event coming up. There's likely somebody trying to do one as a fundraiser or an awareness campaign or something. And, there's ways to make that happen. So there you go. If all else fails, you can go to Office Depot and pay their price per pound to put stuff into their shred box. So there's a million options of ways to get shredding out of the house without having to wait for a long time.
Let's see if there's anything else we need to address. B mentions community clothing swaps. You don't need to take anything. They weigh how much fashion waste they've kept out of landfills. You can bring up to a trash bag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a way to dispose of some. Good job.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, we are just about out of time, so let's talk about next week.
Okay.
Got to get the right thing in front of me again.
Go find
Sorry.
it.
Yeah. Got myself confused here. Yeah, we'll be back at the usual time, and we'll be back. I'm glad to see that at least some of our European cohort found us at the right time today, since we're
Oh, that's
out of
right.
sync with the rest of the world this week.
Thank
But
you.
we will be back in sync after our clocks change this Sunday. So we'll be back next Tuesday, November 4th at the usual time. What did we do differently at times in our lives when we were less cluttered? What are some guidelines for staying organized and decluttered while traveling? And is it still considered a capsule wardrobe if you just happen to wear only a small number of items? Next week, we're going to tackle a few short topics suggested by our viewers and listeners. So join us next week for Learn from the Past, Clutter on the Go, and Default Capsule Wardrobes.
All right.
Gayle, why don't you give us the title?
This week's weekly title is Looking for a Hero. This week's assignment is to consider whether hiring a service provider might be the best solution to a challenge you're facing in your decluttering project. Reflect on your ongoing and planned decluttering and organizing projects. Identify the most troublesome aspect of the work. Start by asking yourself these questions. What's the most physically demanding component of the project? What's the most tedious or time-consuming component? What feels the most like a waste of your valuable time? Are there any project components that you feel might be beyond your technical capabilities, such as selling things online? What feels like it might be beyond your physical capacity to manage? What would you just rather not do yourself? What could someone else accomplish way more quickly than you could? What project component requires skills or equipment that you don't possess? Set aside 15 minutes this week to research some service providers who could help with one of the difficult project components that you've identified. And as an optional piece, set aside a little bit more time to solicit one or more estimates and then work up a budget and a timeline for the project. I think generally we all feel like we should declutter ourselves, we should organize it all ourselves. And I think, sure, you have to make all the decisions, but you can absolutely get support and services other ways that will take some of the burden off of you and let you focus your energy on making the decisions that you need to make about what needs to stay and what needs to go. A service provider can't decide that for you, but they can come and do some other things for you to support you. And so worth checking out to see if there's some services that you're willing to spend the money for and get some support on it. So think your way through that list and then pick a service provider and do some research and come back next week and tell us about it. We'd love to hear about it.
If you're watching this on YouTube, we'd love for you to join us live. To get notifications about upcoming events, we invite you to join the meetup group by visiting cfhou.com/meetup. You can also follow us on Facebook by visiting cfhou.com/Facebook, or join our mailing list by visiting cfhou.com/subscribe. We love to hear from our audience, so please keep your comments, questions, and topic suggestions coming on Facebook, YouTube, or anywhere that you find us. You can always reach us through our website at clutterfairyhouston.com.
Clutterfairyhouston.com. We hope that you enjoy that. I hope that you get some good ideas about ways you can support yourself on your decluttering projects. We don't want you burning out. We don't want you suffering. We don't want you falling down the stairs trying to move that treadmill. So we want you to consider other people that can support you and hopefully come and help you get your project done. And remove those roadblocks of, I need to move the treadmill from the third floor, but I can't possibly, therefore I can't solve my problem. Yes, you can. We just need to find the service provider that can do it for you. All right. Thanks to you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.